In this problem, we're being asked to write something called a recursive formula for a couple of sequences. And recursive formulas use this special notation where we refer to the items in the sequence as a sub something. A sub 1 would be the first item, a sub 2 would be the second item, a sub n would be a formula for any item in the sequence. And that's what we're going to want to do here. We'll come back to that notation in a minute. Let's just take a look at these two sequences and see if we can figure out what's going on. In this first one, we have 4, and then we go down to negative 12, then up to 36, then back down to negative 108. So I've got alternating positive and negative signs. It looks like I'm probably multiplying by a negative number here, and it looks like multiplying by negative 3 would do it. So multiply 4 by negative 3, we'd get negative 12. Multiply negative 12 by negative 3, we'd get 36, and so on. So multiplying by a negative 3 seems to be what's happening here. How about this sequence? We've got 13 to 18 to 23 to 28. Okay, so this one, it looks like we're adding 5 each time. Yep, that checks out. Okay, so we've got one geometric sequence and one arithmetic sequence. Now let's work on writing a recursive formula. In a recursive formula, we usually identify the first element in the sequence. So we say a sub 1 equals what? That's just 4 in this case, or 13 in this case. So that part's not too hard. In a recursive rule like this, we need to know where we're starting. So we just write it down. Now, there's two important other pieces of the notation here. A sub n means any element. You could put in any number for n. When we find the next element in a sequence, though, we find it by taking the element before it and doing something to it. In this case, we take the element before and we multiply by negative 3. So we need a way to write down the element before. We say the element before is a sub n minus 1. And that should make sense if you think about it. If, let's say we're on a sub 2, what's the element before it? Well, the element before is a sub 1. 2 minus 1 would be 1. So this stands in for the element before. Now in this case, we have the element before. What do we do to it to get the next element? Well, we just multiply it by 3. Let me just move that over. Sorry, multiply it by a negative 3. So we can just say negative 3 times a sub n minus 1. That's going to get us the next element. And that's really all we need to do. This chunk right here is going to go in there. You'll notice it says for n greater than or equal to 2. That means this doesn't work for the first element in a sequence, but it does for all the elements afterwards. All right, let's try this next one. Here, we're just adding 5. So our a sub n, any element, is going to be the previous element, that's a sub n minus 1, plus 5. And that's all there is to it. This rule says take the element before and add 5 to it. So that goes in there. So that's how to write a recursive rule for arithmetic and geometric sequences.